4, 3, 2.
Connect to change. How do you view the world? Do you see hate? Love? Do you feel like you can make a difference? Are you scared of what is to come? Feel like the human race has lost its way? Does it make you want to go into hibernation or move to Canada? As a 6th grade geography teacher, I do a lot of thinking about the world, about the future, about how I can shape my students' view of the world as they are trying to find their place in it, about how I can empower them to do extraordinary things. It forces me to be more optimistic about the future. Our worldviews are often shaped by those around us. As a member of the often misunderstood and ill-reputed millennial generation, technology plays a huge part in how I see the world. My phone is never more than 2 feet away from me. I have trouble standing in line without it, and I wonder all the time how people function without it, without maps, flashlights, and the answer to any question on hand at any moment. I depend on Facebook for my news and minute-to-minute updates on all of my closest acquaintances that I haven't even seen in years. So, what would drive this millennial to seriously consider deleting her Facebook account? Only the thing that this social studies teacher and lover of democracy values as a fundamental part of our society and government: the upcoming presidential election. I, a millennial, seriously thought about deleting my Facebook account because it is difficult for me to see the people I care about post hurtful, disrespectful, and ill-researched comments on both sides of the aisle. It is even more difficult to read comments that strangers write on posts written by strangers. Where is the empathy? Where is the respect? Things would be infinitely better if people really made an attempt to understand where others were coming from. Here's my idea. It may be idealistic, but I would rather hope than think of a future where this is all my students know, where we feel the desire to disconnect from others when we should be most connecting with the needs of our fellow citizens. I believe in a future where social media unites and enlightens rather than divides and disheartens. I believe that if we really connect, we could change the world. To change the future for the better, the first thing we need to do is understand the world. I think most of the distasteful comments on the internet stem from ignorance. If people really understood and investigated the other side of an argument to learn the values of others, they would be much more informed in their own opinions and more tactful, not to mention more convincing, when stating their disagreements. During this election season, it seems as if everyone claims to be an expert on foreign policy, current events, and even the best countries to move to depending on the result of the election. I find this ironic, considering how this is how many Americans view the world. It seems that to the north, we have hockey and bears, and to the south, drugs and tacos, and not to mention Texas. It seems there could be something dangerous either way you go. Drugs or bears, take your pick. Europe appears full of furniture, queens, alcohol, and radiation, while Asia is covered with war, communists, noodles, factories, and ninjas. I know that this is not a representative of what everyone knows or what they learned in school, but I think it does reflect a limited understanding of the complexities, cultures, problems, and experiences of the many countries of the world. I think people make big claims about what should be done or what they believe without looking for the deeper story. I think we are all guilty of that at some time or another. It reminds me of my trip to Ireland while I was studying abroad in college. If you had asked me at the time, I was a history major and I thought I had a pretty good understanding of what was going on in the world. I was so excited to be abroad and I loved seeing all of the places I had always read about. Here's a picture of some friends and me enjoying the countryside in Ireland. You would think that my college-educated self and lover of history would have gone there solely to see the beautiful landscapes and physical features. In truth, we went to that spot because it is where they filmed one of my favorite chick flicks at the time, P.S. I Love You. I think we were more hoping to have a romantic encounter with a really cute Irish lad than learning about the culture and history of that great country. The trip eventually drew to a rather uneventful close in terms of the romance, that is, and we made our way back to school. On the way to the airport, I had my first real experience of feeling like a dumb American. We were picked up by the nicest cabbie I ever met at 3 a.m. from our hostel. We were exhausted, but he was so excited to talk to us about our recent election, and even to go so far as asking about a recent Supreme Court ruling that I had never heard about as we were zipping through the city streets. And I was humiliated. Here was this man who knew more about current events in my country than I did. I was scrambling, trying to ask him a question about his own country, and I found that I did not even know the name of the President of Ireland at the time. I felt like an idiot, because I had been traipsing around the countryside thinking I understood what Ireland was like, only to not be aware of any news shaping the lives of the people I was encountering. It felt like I was doing them a disservice, that I didn't deserve to be there. Was I a person who had given into the map of stereotypes? A lot of us become comfortable with our current knowledge, or even lack thereof, and we don't make the effort to expand our perspective on the world, even when we are making decisions that will have a tremendous impact on the world, like in an election. Even looking at different map projections can change the way we see things. This is the map of the world that you are probably used to seeing. Our eye naturally goes from left to right, which means that we all start off in North America and then in Asia. North America seems pretty large compared to some of the other continents, and Greenland just looks huge. Here's a Peters projection map. This is a more accurate in terms of land area. Doesn't everything seem just like a little bit stretched out? Look at how big Africa looks. Here are the two projections on top of each other. In this map, North America and Europe seem rather small. It changes the way that you see things. Here's another one that my students always love, a Pacific view of the world. Going from left to right, we see Africa, Asia, and then North and South America. The Pacific looks huge, and the Atlantic looks just like a small pond. You barely even notice Europe. To really change, we need to understand. Sometimes this means making the effort to get outside of our own heads and learn the perspectives of others. We need to connect in order to change. After my humiliating taxi ride in Ireland, I promised myself that I would never be a dumb American when traveling again, and that I would do my research before going to a new place. I wanted to experience these places as much as I could at a deep level. And last November, I was able to redeem myself when I received 2 free tickets to Singapore, a very small country in Southeast Asia. To make the experience even better, I was able to stay with one of my good friends who lives there. Not only was I excited to see a new place, but I was excited to learn more about the life of my friend. I did my research ahead of time and was really excited to see a blend of cultures in this small country. I saw exquisite mosques, a really large Buddha, and colorful Hindu temples. There were some things that were very different, like bird's nest soup, which I sampled on a live video chat with my students, and this dessert that was their version of a snow cone. I also saw many similarities, like this selfie cafe, the appearance of Darth Vader, and some really cute puppies. It was eye-opening to see all of these different cultures living and working alongside each other. It made me connect with my friend on a whole different level, seeing her in her own context, And it was amazing to see how many similarities there were between two countries on opposite sides of the world. It was life-changing to be able to laugh, learn, and connect with people who had such totally different life experiences. It changed the way I view Asia. It changed the way I view diversity. It changed the way I related to people. It is my hope that my students are able to have similar experiences. Meaningful experiences with people who are different from you can fundamentally change the way you see the world. We have more similarities than we do differences. So after my trip to Singapore, I was on fire. I was like Buddy the Elf on Christmas Eve. My expectations sure were high. I had set up pen pals with a sister school during my trip, and I couldn't wait for my students to connect with their assigned partners in Singapore. I couldn't wait for them to build relationships and interact with these kids from a completely different background. I thought it would change their view of the world and add a meaningful purpose for the technology that they couldn't get enough of. Initially, my students were really excited to connect to their pen pals. I brought back letters they had written and small gifts that were exchanged, and they loved the idea of having something from another country. Eventually, we switched to email. This made conversation much easier and almost instantaneous, which I thought would be a good thing. What I found, however, is that connecting in this way is not always easy. It takes work to find similarities and develop a relationship, especially when it's with a person on the other side of the world. The whole process ended up becoming a lot like this. It became harder to get my students excited about writing to their pen pals. They said it was too hard, not fun, that they could connect to kids anywhere on Minecraft and YouTube. And it made me wonder, in a society that is more connected than ever, why are people not connecting? I see this all the time. I live this all the time. My phone is always attached to me. I find myself pulling it out when I'm waiting in line for longer than 30 seconds with nothing to do. Out to dinner with friends and everyone is on their phones, walking in the park on their phones, 2 o'clock in the morning and unable to sleep, they're on their phones. We are constantly connecting. We are constantly taking in information. But why are we not really connecting? We are missing so many opportunities to understand the complexities of the world, rather than be satisfied with the generalities. In a society that is more connected than ever, why are people not connecting? The answer, I think, is because connecting is hard. It is hard to get to know someone, especially someone you have never met. It requires a degree of vulnerability and trust. It takes time and effort to get to know somebody's story, to learn where they come from and what they hope to be. It takes open-mindedness. It takes sometimes admitting the shortcomings in your own worldview, whether it be on a taxi ride in Ireland. And it takes making it a priority and seeing the value in it. It takes practice. And most of all, it takes choosing to expand your worldview and learn something really valuable over watching that adorable cat video. It's not always an easy choice. That cat is so cute. This, I believe, is where global education comes in. This is where I'm excited and optimistic for the future, for a purpose, for all of the connecting that now seems so superficial, because it is no easy thing. It is not going to happen overnight. I think people need to be trained on how to connect, build relationships, understand other cultures, find similarities, work through differences, and create lasting change in the world, on Facebook news feeds and in real life. Now is the time. The technology is better than ever before, and people are looking to connect. Global educators strive to create meaningful, collaborative learning experiences by connecting students in different parts of the world to work together on particular tasks. This could include weekly video messages on a text, a collaborative project, researching a social issue, developing an action plan for a service project, or even working to solve math problems. If students are able to create these types of powerful learning experiences, imagine the possibilities. Imagine the change. Imagine a world that is truly connected, not just passively watching videos and reading stories, but actually having a dialogue, real-time class discussions via the internet with students in Europe or Asia. Imagine a world where students can know how to build authentic relationships with people from different backgrounds, where they can confidently ask questions of friends abroad, learn history, and understand a new perspective. Imagine a world where technology is used to help people through service learning projects and social justice presentations, where international collaboration can lead to true and lasting change, where students feel empowered to do amazing things, to see the reach of their own actions, to provide purpose for the connection. Imagine a world where students are learning together how to solve problems and work past differences. Imagine a world working towards peace, students understanding the deep roots of conflict in Africa and the Middle East and the obstacles in the way of peace. If we are deeply connected to people all over the world and in our own country, why would we fight or go to war with them? Why would anyone want to go to war with friends? If students are given opportunities to solve problems on a small-scale project, why can't they do the same on a large scale someday? Connecting can change the world. We need to teach students how to connect. We need to model it. We need to connect to really connect. I believe that we have the power to change the world. We have the resources at our fingertips. The resources are there all the time. We can't put the resources down. We need to use these resources to better ourselves, not just to entertain ourselves. Only when we better ourselves can we better the world. Ultimately, I did not delete my Facebook account. I didn't delete it because I realized that it was more important to connect with people and learn their perspective, even if I didn't agree with their opinion or the way they stated it. How do you view the world? Do you see hate, love, feel like you can make a difference? Scared of what is to come? Just living your life ignoring rude comments online? Watching the newest cat video? How can we change the look of Facebook? How can we change our own perspective? How can we get a deeper understanding of the experiences of others? How can we change the world? My students are heading out to see the world. I hope that they connect. I hope that they understand where they come from, where they need to grow. I hope they can work through differences with others, that they respect others, even when they disagree. I hope they see the value in understanding other cultures. I hope they want to change the world. I hope they want to better themselves. I hope they believe in their power to change the world. I hope their Facebook news feeds look different than mine do. I hope they see respectful posts seeking to understand and bridge divides rather than deepen them. I hope they see the value in connecting and that they really connect. We can all connect to change the world. How will you? Thank you.